Welcome to the channel, everybody. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you. If you've never been here before, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Everybody else, welcome back. I broke out some chips for this one because this is going to be a good one. Karmelo Anthony has been indicted on first-degree murder. I told you it was coming. It was going to be a show. There's going to be a show because a lot of people are going to go crazy. I told you in a lot of videos that I made about this case that he would be indicted. Excuse me. I'm going to play you a little news clip about it, and then we'll get right back into it. So, well, as a matter of fact, I'll hold up on the news clip. So here's the thing for those of you that didn't follow. Karmelo Anthony, 17 years old, was responsible for killing Austin Metcalf, also 17 years old, inside of Texas at the track meet. A lot of people thought that because it took so long for the indictment, that the case was going to be swept under the rug or the case was going to be just go away. Many people thought that if they made an uproar about it, that they could persuade people to think a certain way. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to burn things down now and act crazy and act a fool anytime that the criminal justice system takes the proper and necessary steps for justification for Austin Metcalf. You know, and that's what's taking place. There was no evidence. As you know, there was a lot of YouTubers that stayed with the ridiculous, outlandish speculation along the way. Everybody was focused on, Metcalf's house being swatted. And then other people were saying that Karmelo Anthony was attacked by Hunter Metcalf and Austin Metcalf. And then other people said that he was beating Karmelo Anthony, and there was no evidence of any of that. You know, there was zero evidence of any of that. There were over 30 witnesses to the case, you know. And if you look at my prior videos, I pointed out from a legal aspect, with the evidence that we did have, that when Karmelo Anthony said, "Touch me again and watch what I do to you," showed premeditation. It shows he has a plan. It doesn't matter what the haters say. It doesn't matter what people try to convince you of. It doesn't matter what people get you to change your mind. All that matters is the facts. And there were over 30 witnesses that none of them said that the Hunter Metcalf attacked Karmelo Anthony. None of them said that. None of them said that Karmelo Anthony was beaten. When Karmelo Anthony was apprehended by the police officer, he made no mention of being beaten. He made no mention of Hunter attacking him. He had no injuries on him. He had no injuries of being slapped in the face, punched in the face, kicked. He had zero injuries at all. You know, he brought the knife to the track meet and he stabbed an unarmed kid because the kid asked him to go sit someplace else. Right? And when you go to the legal aspect of it, everyone said, well, Austin Metcalf should have minded his own business. Well, he didn't mind his own business. And that's not against the law. Asking someone to go sit someplace else is not against the law. And even if it was, it doesn't give you justification to stab them in the heart and kill them over it. Okay? And so from the beginning, all these facts, not opinion, led me to make videos which you could look at, where I said he will be indicted for murder. Now, I did worry that the indictment would be that they might come back with manslaughter, this or that, if the jury was swayed at all. But they have come back with a indictment of first-degree murder. Okay? So this kid is facing right now 5 to 99 years. Because he's 17 years old, he can't face the death penalty in the state of Texas. Okay? A 17-year-old is not allowed. If he was above 17 at the time of the crime, he can face the death penalty for murder in the first degree. But because he was under 18, 17 years old, he can face up to 99 years in prison. He can face life in prison. Okay? And that's what the jury, District Attorney Willis has instructed the jury to come back with a murder indictment, and they have come back with a murder indictment. So I'd like to see all these people that were chiming in, and now the video came out too, right? So the public has not been privy to the video. I also stated this, right? In many of my videos, that the public is not entitled to see the video, right? Everyone said, we want to see the video. We want to see the video. The public is not entitled to see the video. They can show the video to the public if they want to. An intelligent criminal justice system and an intelligent district attorney will hold the video because it's evidence. You understand? And you don't want to release evidence to the public or to the defendant and his attorney. Why give him the evidence that you have? So they held on to the evidence. And then a certain group of media people were allowed to view this video. And all of them that viewed the video have clearly stated that in the video, there was no sign of any attack on Karmelo Anthony. Right? And so that this was an unjustified stabbing. His lawyer is still standing up and saying that, we're going to try and prove self-defense. But his lawyer knows he's screwed now. So what's going to happen? Well, let me play the video for you so you can see the video for yourself. Check out the little video right here.
Good afternoon. Earlier this spring, our community was shaken by what happened at a school track meet in Frisco. The violent loss of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. For weeks now, my team has been presenting evidence to the grand jury, and today I summarized that evidence, and I asked the grand jury to return a first-degree murder indictment against Karmelo Anthony, which they did. With this indictment, the case now moves formally into the court system. From this point forward, we'll continue doing our job both fully and fairly to pursue justice under the law. As for the scheduling of the trial, that will be up to the court. But when the time comes, we will be ready. Now, we know that this case has struck a deep nerve here in Collin County and beyond. And that's understandable. When something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But let's remember that the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's what this case deserves. We're also mindful of Austin's family and everyone who loved him. Please keep them in your thoughts, and if you're willing, your prayers as well. Finally, let's remember that a defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
Today's indictment of Karmelo Anthony is an expected and routine step in the legal process. An indictment is a procedural step that happens in virtually every felony criminal case. It's a document that lays out for both the prosecution and the defense what the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt in court. An indictment simply means that a grand jury, after hearing only the prosecution's side of the story, determined that there was enough evidence to allow the case to move forward to court. That's all an indictment means. Karmelo and his family are confident in the justice system and the people of Collin County to be fair and impartial. Of course, Karmelo looks forward to his day in court. It's only in a trial that a jury will hear the full story, one that includes critical facts and context that the grand jury simply didn't get to hear. It's only in a trial that both sides get to present evidence and cross-examine each other's witnesses. This is why our justice system is based on the principle of a full and fair trial. That's because it's only in a trial that the full story can be heard and that impartial justice can be done. We expect that when the full story is heard, the prosecution will not be able to rule out the reasonable doubt that Karmelo Anthony may have acted in self-defense. Self-defense is a fundamental right guaranteed every American. The law is clear. When self-defense is raised by the facts, the law puts the burden squarely on the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the citizen accused did not act in self-defense. The law does not expect or require the citizen accused to prove that they acted in self-defense. It's actually the opposite. The law requires the prosecution to rule out the reasonable doubt that the citizen accused may have acted in self-defense. We understand that this case has sparked strong reactions. Please remember that there are real human beings, kids, on both sides of this case. We ask that everyone do as the law requires and withhold judgment until all the evidence can be heard in court. We are confident that when all the facts are presented and the full story is heard, the jury will reach the right conclusion and justice will be done.
So you see in that video, right? They explain it's murder in the first degree. That's as serious as it gets. And now you have to answer for the consequences. I think because they indicted him on murder in first degree, in my opinion, his bail should be revoked. Because if they feel it's murder in the first, right, there's no reason he should be out on bail. And everyone talked about all the money he raised, and the spokesperson for him, Alexander, who was a criminal and a racist. I told everyone none of that matters, right? That's all what they call the hoopla from people outside. All that matters to the court is the facts of what happened at the time. They don't care whose house was swatted, who had pizza delivered to their house, who raised money. The courts don't care about that. If there was any fraud involved, a different court will care about that, but the court cares about what happened under that tent on that day. And the jury witnessed it, and they decided to come back with murder in the first degree. I feel that his bail should be revoked for murder in the first degree, because that means that it was premeditated and it was planned. And when he said, "Touch me again and watch what you do to me," that shows that you planned on doing something. Now this kid's going to have to answer for that. And, that's where this case is at right now. What was the other thing I was going to mention? So many people wanted to turn this into a racial case. They did turn it into a racial case, but there was no racial undertone about the case at all, except the fact that one kid was white and one kid was black, right? And then you have all these people that want to stand up for Karmelo Anthony because he's black, and you have people that want to stand up for Austin Metcalf because he's white, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. That just shows the stupidity in people. That just shows the racism in people, And yes, Alexander, the spokesperson for Carmelo Anthony, is known to be a racist. So once they picked him, that's what kind of, turned it that way. But the point is, I never look at it like that. I look at it for the facts. Was this kid justified in stabbing this unarmed kid? Color has nothing to do with it, And you want to turn it into a racial thing, you're in for a losing battle. You know what I mean? Because the court is going to stick to the facts of the case. So that's what's going on. I wanted to let you people know that Carmelo Anthony has been indicted for murder in the first degree. What happens now is the process is going to play out in court, because there's evidence involved, there's statements involved, and there's things called Scandoval hearings, there's things called Huntley hearings. There's all different types of hearings now. The lawyers are going to try and get evidence thrown out. Right? Carmelo Anthony's attorney will try and get this witness statement thrown out or that witness statement thrown out. He'll try and get Carmelo Anthony's own statement thrown out. They use reasons like, well, he wasn't read his rights when he gave his statement, which I believe he was. But I'm just saying they start trying different things to get evidence thrown out. Of course, they'll try and get the video thrown out, but the jury saw enough. The jury saw enough. So that's what's going on with the case. I'll talk with you guys soon, and that's a wrap. Take care.